Hi, my name is Sarah Ewusiwa Cranting, your facilitator. It's math time, and I'm taking you through class 5 maths on the topic numbers, and those are 8 lessons. Let's go through the objectives for today. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to round up and down whole numbers to estimate sums and differences. We are going to round up and down numbers, whole numbers, to estimate sums and differences. Before that, as usual, our homework. Take your books, your pens, and then check your answers with mine. So the first one, you have this, the second, third, and then the fourth one, which is the last one. Just go through and cross-check with mine. Assess yourself. Good. I hope you had everything correct. If we are not able to do it, quickly do your corrections and let's move on. Nice one. Now let's go through our keywords for today. We have the first one to be estimate. We have sum, we have difference. Estimate, sum, difference. Now when we say estimate, what does it mean? Just a rough guess of something. Good. What about sum? An answer of addition problem. And also the difference is an answer of subtraction problem. You'll be meeting this as we move on. All right. Now, rounding up and down numbers to estimate sums and differences. Rounding up and down numbers to estimate sums and differences. We are starting with estimating sums. When we are through with that, we will move on to estimating differences as well. I have examples here. I have 212 plus 278. Estimate by rounding to the nearest hundreds. I believe you are familiar with it. That's the estimate. We are going to guess or make a rough guess of the answer. So before that, let's round the numbers to the nearest hundred. After that, we add everything. Good. So I have 212 here. We are rounding it to the nearest hundred, which is not new to you. So rounding 212 to the nearest 100 will give us good. It's going to be 200. Why? Because when we use our number line, let's say I have my number line here. Good. So 212 will be between 200 and then 300. So I have my 200 here, and then 300 will be somewhere here. We are counting in hundreds. So 212 will be between 212. 212 will be somewhere here. Now let's look at these two numbers, 200 and then 300. And look at where the 212 is. Which number is closer to 212? I have 200 and then 300. You could see that 212 is closer to 200. So rounding it to the nearest 100, 212 will be 200. So we will have our 200. I hope you remember the sign. Approximately equal to, because 212 is not equal to. So make sure you don't bring the equal to sign. This is the sign we are going to use. And it is called the approximately equal to sign. That is it. Now let's look at the next number. We are going to use our number line again. We have 278. And again, 278 will be between 200 and then 300. So we are counting in hundreds. I'll start with 200. Now 300 will be somewhere here. Where will we locate 278? 278 will be somewhere here. Look at these two numbers, 200 and 300. Which one is closer to 278? It is obvious that 278 is closer to 300. So rounding it to the nearest 100, 278 will be approximately equal to 300. So we are going to round it to 300. So 270 will be approximately equal to 300. Now we are going to add these two numbers, 200 and then 300. When we add 200 and then 300, we are adding it here. We have 0, 0, and then 5. Now, back to the question. 212 plus 278. Estimate by rounding to the nearest hundredths. So, the answer is going to be, we are not going to use the equal sign. We are going to use the approximation sign. Will be approximately equal to 500. Or, let me write it here, 212 plus 278 will be approximately equal to 500. Good. So we are not supposed to bring our equal to, because when you add 212 to 278, you wouldn't get 500. But when we approximate it, when we estimate it, our answer will be 500. I have examples here which we are going to do. Estimate to find the sum by rounding to the nearest hundreds. And always check the number that you are rounding to, or the place that you are rounding to. The question says we should round it to the nearest hundreds. So we will check 319 to the nearest hundred. It's going to be 300. It will be 300. Plus, what about 123 to the nearest hundred? And you know, when we are rounding to the nearest hundred, what do? You remember the poem we learned in our previous lesson? To find a number, if it is 4 or less, we let the number rest. But 5 or more, we add 1 more. So the 300, when we go right to the next door, it is 1. Is it 5 or more? No, it is less than 5. So we will let the number rest. I hope you know this already because we have done it. So we are going to let the 3 rest and then assume the rest of the digits to be zeros. So I have my 300 here, plus the 123 to the nearest 100. We will go to our next door, which is the tens place. Let's check the number over there. It is less than 5. So we are going to let this number rest. So we will write our 1 and assume the rest of the digits to be zeros. So we have rounded the numbers down. We have 300 plus 100. Working with zeros is easier. So 300 plus 100 will give us, very good, 400. So estimated to find the sum by rounding to the nearest hundreds, 319 plus 123 will be approximately equal to 400. But 300 plus 100 is equal to 400. Good. Let's move to the next example. I have 178 plus 115. We are rounding to the nearest hundred. So 178 to the nearest 100 will be, very good, 200. Why? The 7, which is at the tens place, is more than 5. So we add 1 to this 1, making 2. And then you assume the rest of the digits to be zeros. Plus, we have 115 to the nearest 100. Go right to the next door. What is there? 1. 1 is less than 5. So we will let the number rest. I have the 1 here, and then assume the rest to be zeros. So I have my 2 zeros over here. So 200 plus 100 will give us is equal to 300. 178 plus 115 will be approximately equal to 300. I hope you are enjoying it. Good. I want to give you more to do. Try it for me. To the nearest 100, we are using the same instruction. I want you to write it down and then do it for me. You have just 1 minute to do that. No, it's even more. 30 seconds to do that. And it starts now. Very good. My learners, your time is up. So let's do it together. Rounding 436 to the nearest 100. It will give us, we go right to our next door. And what is that? The tens place. it is less than 5, so we will let the 4 rest. We will maintain the 4, and then assume the rest of the digits to be zeros. So we have rounded it down to 400 plus 355 to the nearest hundredth. This one, when we go right to our next door, it is 5. So we are going to add 1 more to the 3, making 4, and then assume the rest to be zeros. We have rounded 355 up to 400. Now, 400 plus 400 will give us 800. So 436 is approximately equal to 800. I hope you had the same answer. That is good. Now, let's move on to estimating differences. Estimating differences. As I said, when we say difference, the answer of a subtraction problem. So, estimating differences. Estimate to find the difference by rounding to the nearest 10. I have said it. I've said it. When you have a question like this, look at the place that they want you to round the number to. It is very important. Just have to do it anyhow. So this one, we are rounding it to the nearest 10, underlined. Very good. And I have examples. 498, we are rounding it to the nearest 10. So, as usual, we go right to our next door, which is the ones place. So the ones place, this is 8, more than 5. So we will add 1 to the 9. When we add 1 to the 9, it is 10. We don't have to write all the 10 here. So we will write 0 and bring the 1 to this place. So when we add 1 to the 4, we will get 5. And then 0. And make this one 0 as well. So we will have 500. 498 to the nearest 10 will be 500. We have rounded up. We will bring our sign. 218 to the nearest 10. Let's check. This is what we are finding. To the nearest 10. So we will go right to the next door. What is there? The 8 at the ones or the units place. It is more than 5. So what do? We add 1 to this one, making 2. So we will have 2, 2, and make this one 0. So to the nearest 10, we're going to have 220. Now we can do our subtraction. Can't we? Good. So 500 minus 220. If you don't want any problem, just arrange it this way. So 0 minus 0 will give us 0. 0 minus 2, we have to borrow 1 from 5. So it will come here 10. 10 minus 2 will give us 8. This is left with 4. When we subtract 2 from 4, we will get 2. So our answer, this is equal to 280. So 498 minus 218 is approximately equal to 280. Let's do this one. 643 minus 308 to the nearest tens. What do? We are going to round them, either up or down. So let's check. To the nearest tens. So what do? We have found our number, which is 4, at the tens place. Now we want to round it. So we go right to our next door, which is 3, at the units or the ones place. Look at the number over there. This is less than 5. My learners, what do we have to do? We will have to let this 4 rest and make this 3 0. We are going to write the number at the left side. We are going to maintain it. So we will have 6. This is 4. And this 3 will become 0. So we have rounded it down to 640. We will bring our sign. We have 308. Rounding it to the nearest tens. So we will check. We have 0 here. Okay, we want to round it. We are going right to our next door, which is the ones place. We have 8 over here. It is more than 5. So we will add 1 to the 0. And as we did in our previous lesson, you don't have to bring it in front and tell me, Madam, it's 10. No, 0 plus 1. So it will be like the 0 plus 1, which will give us 1. So here to become 1, and then we will make this 8 0. So we will maintain the number at the left side. The 0 here has now become 1, and the 8 is 0. Good. Now we have to subtract. We have to find the difference. For you not to be or get confused, let's arrange it as we did for the first one. So we have 640 minus 310. We will start from the right. 0 minus 0 will give us 0. 1. 4 minus 1 will give us 3. 6 minus 3 will also give us 3. So what is the difference? The difference is 330. We have estimated it. So this is equal to 330. But 643 minus 308 is approximately equal to 330. Now, our last example. Estimate 518 minus, forget about this sign. So I have the sign here. 518 minus 271 by rounding to the nearest hundreds. Remember, the first one, we rounded it to the nearest tens. So you have to take notes of this. We are rounding to the nearest hundreds. I want you to try this for me. You have just 30 seconds, and it starts now. Good. Your time is up. Let's do it again. Let's do it together, my learners. Estimate 518 minus 271 by rounding to the nearest hundredths. As usual, we are going to round this number. And you know, 518 to the nearest hundred. We'll check the number right after the 5, before the 5. So we have 1 at the tens place. And this one is less than 5. So we will let the numbers rest. So I will have 500. We have rounded it down. We will bring the sign. This is 271 to the nearest hundreds. Let's check the number at the tens place. It's 7, right? Very good. What do? We will add 1 more to the 2, which will give us 3. And make the rest of the digits zeros. So 1, 2. Now we can work with it. So this will be equal to, working with zeros, it's not difficult at all. 500 minus 300 is 200. So back to the question, 518 minus 271 is approximately equal to 200. Did you get that? Thumbs up for you. If you're not able to do it, check and then correct yourself. All right, my learners, have you been able to learn something today? Good. Let's reflect on what we have done. We have learned how to round up and down, to estimate sums and differences of whole numbers. Now, your homework. I want you to practice what we have done today. So, estimate to find the sum or difference by rounding to the nearest hundredth, underlined. So you have 4 questions here. You are going to do it for me. When we meet next time, I'll do it and you assess yourself. You cross-check your answers with mine and then assess yourself. Quickly write it down. Write your homework, copy it, and do it for me. Estimate to find the sum or difference by rounding to the nearest hundreds. And you have these. You check the signs as well. Good. Thank you for staying up to this point. Until then, I have always been your facilitator, Sarah Ewusiwa Cranton. Enjoy the rest of the day.